My beloved child, I see you. I see the burdens you carry, the silent tears you shed when no one else is watching. I know the questions that weigh heavy on your heart. Why does this hurt so much? When will it get better? Today, I bring you a message that will touch your soul and bring light to the darkness within. You are not here by accident. This moment is a divine appointment, a whisper from me to you, reminding you that you are deeply loved and never forgotten. In your pain, I am with you. In your confusion, I am your clarity. And in your loneliness, I am the ever-present hand reaching to guide you. Stay with me, because what I will share with you today holds the power to heal your heart, renew your hope, and bring peace beyond all understanding. Together we will journey through my promises, a path that leads to joy, strength, and a future full of purpose. If this resonates with your heart, like this video and subscribe to Christian Philosophy Daily. Let these words be the anchor for your spirit, and let us walk together toward the healing and hope I have prepared for you. The unchanging love of God. My beloved child, in this moment let your heart be still and listen, for I speak to you with all the love I have poured into your creation. I know the storms you've walked through, the nights where hope seemed like a distant star. You've wondered, does anyone truly see me? Does anyone care about this ache in my soul? Today I assure you, I see you, and I care deeply for you. There was once a man named David, a shepherd, overlooked by the world, yet chosen by me. His days were filled with quiet fields and simple duties, but I saw something more in him, a heart yearning for me. When the storms of life rose against him, when enemies pursued him and fear whispered in his ear, he cried out to me, and I answered not always with immediate deliverance, but with my presence, my guidance, and my unshakable love. Like David, you may feel forgotten, unseen by those around you. Perhaps you faced rejection, loss, or betrayal that left scars deeper than words could express. Yet know this, I do not look at you the way the world does. I see your heart, I see the child I formed with intention and purpose, and I love you, not for what you do, but for who you are. When David found himself in the wilderness, he wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside quiet waters, he refreshes my soul." Psalm 23, 1-3. Even in the hardest moments, he clung to this truth. I was with him, and just as I walked with David, I walk with you now. Let me tell you a story, one you may find reflected in your own life. A woman once came to me, her heart heavy with shame. She carried the weight of past mistakes, of words spoken in anger, and of opportunities lost. She thought, surely I am beyond redemption. But when she stood in my presence, I did not see her as broken. I saw her as beloved. With tears streaming down her face, she whispered, "Lord, can you still love me?" And my answer to her, as it is to you, was clear. "Yes, my child, I have loved you with an everlasting love." Jeremiah 31:3. I lifted her burdens, not by erasing her past, but by reminding her that her past did not define her. My love did. From that day, she walked lighter. Not because life became easier, but because she knew she was never alone. Now, my child, I ask you to consider, what burdens are you carrying today? What pain have you tucked away, thinking it is too much even for me? I invite you to bring it to me, lay it down at my feet. The love I offer is not conditional. It is not based on your success or failure. It simply is, constant, unchanging, and infinite. When the world tells you that you are not enough, remember my words. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. When fear tries to silence your voice, know that I have given you a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. And when doubt creeps in, questioning whether you are worthy of love, hear me whisper, "You are mine." Isaiah 43:1. Take a moment now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of your worries begin to lift as you open your heart to my presence. In my love, there is healing for your wounds, hope for your tomorrows, and peace for your restless soul. Trust me, my beloved. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Together, we will walk this path of life, and you will come to see that even in your trials, I have been shaping you for something greater. My plans for you are filled with hope, with purpose and with blessings beyond what you can imagine. Stay close to me and let my unchanging love be the anchor for your soul. Trusting God in the midst of trials. My beloved child, today let me share with you a story that mirrors the struggles you may face, one that speaks of pain, hope, and the transformation that comes through unwavering trust in me. There was a man named Thomas, a father and a provider for his family. For years his life was steady, filled with the daily rhythm of work and the warmth of his loved ones. But one day, the foundation he had built his life began to crumble. The company he worked for closed its doors without warning, leaving him unemployed and uncertain about how he would care for his wife and children. Thomas was overwhelmed with fear. At night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, questioning, "Why is this happening to me, Lord? What did I do wrong?" He prayed, but the answers did not come as quickly as he hoped. Doubts crept in, whispering that he was alone in this battle. He began to believe the lie that his worth was tied to his ability to provide, and now that he had lost that, he felt lost himself. But my child, I saw Thomas in his despair. I was with him as he wrestled with his fears. One quiet evening, when his heart was heavy with the weight of worry, he opened his Bible and read these words, "Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you." 1 Peter 5:7. In that moment, Thomas felt a spark of hope. Though the path ahead was unclear, he decided to place his trust in me. With each day that passed, Thomas began to lean on my promises. He prayed, not for immediate answers, but for the strength to take one step forward at a time. I placed opportunities in his path. A neighbor who offered temporary work, a friend who connected him with a new job. Slowly but surely, his circumstances began to change. But more importantly, his heart transformed. He learned that his worth was not tied to his job, but rooted in my unchanging love for him. Today, Thomas looks back on that season of trial and sees it not as a time of loss, but as a time when his faith deepened. He shares his story with others, not to boast of his resilience, but to testify of my faithfulness. He often says, "The storm didn't destroy me, it strengthened my faith in God." My child, you may find yourself in a storm right now. Perhaps it feels like everything you've built is slipping through your fingers, and the future seems uncertain. But let Thomas' story remind you of this truth. I am with you in the storm. I am not distant or indifferent to your struggles. I see you. I care for you, and I am working, even when you cannot see it yet. Take heart and trust in me. My word assures you, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. When you feel overwhelmed, remember this promise and let it anchor your soul. Let me ask you, my child, what burden are you carrying today? What fear is stealing your peace? Bring it to me. Do not carry it alone. I will provide the strength you need, the wisdom to move forward, and the peace that surpasses all understanding. Trust is not easy, but it is a choice. Like Thomas, you can choose to trust that I am faithful. When you do, you will find that even in the hardest seasons, I am molding you into someone stronger, someone who reflects my light to the world. I do not promise a life without challenges, but I do promise this: you will never face them alone. My love for you is unwavering, and my plans for you are greater than you can imagine. So take the first step today, trust me, and watch how I lead you through this storm into a future filled with hope and purpose. Finding strength in God during life's hardest moments. My beloved child, let me tell you about a woman named Sarah, whose journey may feel familiar to your own. Sarah was a devoted mother, a wife, and a caregiver to those around her. Her days were filled with service, her heart poured out in love, but she often felt invisible, unnoticed even by those closest to her. One day, Sarah's world shifted. Her husband fell gravely ill, and the responsibility of providing for her family fell entirely on her shoulders. Bills began to pile up, and her strength seemed to wane under the weight of endless demands. She cried out in the quiet of the night, "Lord, I can't do this anymore. I feel so alone." But my child, Sarah was never alone, and neither are you. In her despair, she turned to me. Not because she had all the answers, but because her heart sought the peace only I can give. She opened my word and found this promise: the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Though her circumstances had not yet changed, my words brought comfort, a reminder that her cries had not gone unheard. In the days that followed, Sarah chose to lean into her faith. Each morning, she began her day with a simple prayer: Lord, walk with me today. Give me the strength I do not have. And I answered. I surrounded her with a community, neighbors who offered meals, a church that provided financial help, and friends who simply listened when she needed to unburden her heart. Through these acts, she saw my love in tangible ways. Though the path was not easy, Sarah learned to find joy even in small victories. She discovered that the trials she faced were not meant to break her, but to build her trust in me. Over time, her husband's health improved, her financial burdens lessened, and her heart grew stronger. Today, Sarah looks back and sees my hand guiding her through what once seemed impossible. She tells others, "The strength I found was never my own, it was God's." Now, my child, I ask you to reflect on Sarah's story. Are you carrying a burden that feels too heavy? Perhaps it is an illness in your family, financial struggles, or the weight of feeling unseen and unappreciated. Whatever it may be, I invite you to bring it to me. My word assures you, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. You do not have to walk this path alone. Take a moment now to breathe deeply and feel my presence. I am with you, not just as an observer, but as a guide, a protector, and a source of strength. The challenges you face today may seem insurmountable, but remember, my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. When you feel at your lowest, that is when I carry you most closely. Sarah's story is not unique, my child. It is a testament to what can happen when you trust me fully. I do not promise to take away every hardship, but I promise to walk with you through them. Together, we can transform your trials into a testimony of faith, hope, and resilience. So I ask you, will you trust me today? Will you let go of the fear and doubt that whisper lies into your heart? Lift your eyes to me, for I am your refuge, your strength, and your ever-present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. My love for you knows no bounds, and my plans for you are filled with hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. As you step forward, know this: you are never alone. With every tear you shed, I am near. With every prayer you whisper, I am listening. And with every step you take, I am guiding you toward a life of purpose, peace, and joy. Hold on to these truths, my beloved, and let my strength carry you through today and into the beautiful future I have prepared for you. Overcoming fear through faith. My beloved child, I know the fears that grip your heart. You wake in the quiet of the night, your mind racing with what-ifs, your spirit weighed down by the unknown. Fear is a heavy burden, one that whispers lies, telling you that you are not strong enough, not brave enough, not worthy enough. But today, I invite you to hear a different voice, my voice. Let me tell you about Jacob, a man whose journey reveals what it means to trust me in the face of fear. Jacob was a man who carried the weight of his past. He had deceived his brother Esau, and for years he lived in the shadow of guilt and the fear of retribution. When the time came for him to face Esau again, Jacob was overwhelmed. He could not see a way forward. What if Esau seeks revenge? What if this is the end? His heart cried, but in the darkness of his fear, Jacob turned to me. He knelt in prayer and said, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, save me, I pray." Genesis 32:9. That night, Jacob wrestled with an angel, a moment that tested not just his strength, but his faith. In that struggle, he discovered something profound. His fears did not define him. My promises did. I gave Jacob a new name, Israel, and a renewed purpose. When he finally met Esau, he was greeted not with wrath, but with an embrace. His fear, though powerful, had been no match for my faithfulness. My child, what fears are you wrestling with today? Perhaps it is the fear of failure, of losing what you hold dear, or of stepping into the unknown. Fear has a way of paralyzing us, of making the mountains before us seem insurmountable. But just as I was with Jacob, I am with you. My word reminds you, fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Isaiah 41:10. Let me tell you about Emily, another of my children, who found herself overwhelmed by fear. Emily was a young teacher with a passion for helping others, but she faced a constant battle with anxiety. Every morning before stepping into her classroom, she would feel a wave of doubt. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough for my students? The fear became so great that she began to question whether she was even meant for this path. One evening, Emily poured out her heart to me in prayer. She told me of her fears, doubts, and desire to make a difference despite them. I whispered back to her heart, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. Those words became her anchor. Each day Emily chose to face her fear, leaning on me for strength she knew she did not have on her own. In time, Emily saw the fruits of her courage. Her students thrived, not because she was perfect, but because she was present. They saw in her a quiet strength, one that did not come from within, but from above. Today, Emily looks back on those years and says, God didn't take away my fear, but He walked with me through it. And that made all the difference. My beloved, fear will come, but it does not have the final word. I do. When you feel afraid, remember that I go before you. My word is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. Psalm 119:5. Lean on my promises, for they are unchanging. When fear tells you to retreat, step forward with faith, knowing that I am your refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Take a moment now to bring your fears to me. Name them, release them, and trust that I am already working to turn them into opportunities for growth. Like Jacob, you may wrestle, but you will emerge stronger. Like Emily, you may feel weak, but my power will sustain you. You are not defined by your fear, my child. You are defined by my love. Trust in me, for I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Matthew 28:20. Finding hope in the valley of despair. My beloved child, I see your heart, heavy with questions and doubts. I see the moments when the weight of life feels unbearable, when the valley you walk through seems endless, and hope feels like a distant dream. Today, let me remind you that even in the darkest valleys, I am with you, guiding your every step. Let me tell you about a man named Michael. Michael was once full of dreams, a builder with a vision to create homes where families could thrive. But one year, a devastating storm destroyed not only his work, but also his spirit. His tools were buried under rubble, his savings depleted, and the homes he built with care turned into ruins. As he stood amidst the destruction, he whispered, Lord, how can I rebuild? I've lost everything. Michael was overcome by despair. Each morning felt heavier than the last, and he began to wonder if his purpose had been swept away with the storm. Yet, even in his silence, I heard his heart. One day, as he sifted through the debris, a neighbor came to him with words of encouragement. Michael, your work has always brought light to others. Don't give up. We'll rebuild together. That moment was no coincidence. It was my way of reminding him that he was not alone. Michael turned to my word for strength and read these promises. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. Isaiah 43:2. He realized that while the storm had taken much, it could never take my presence from him. He began to pray, not for what he had lost, but for the courage to start again. Over time, Michael's neighbors rallied around him. Together, they rebuilt not only his home, but also the hope that had once felt lost. Each nail hammered into wood became a testament to faith, perseverance, and community. Michael's work became a symbol of resilience, not because of his strength alone, but because of the strength he found in me. Now, my child, perhaps you too are standing in the ruins of something you held dear. Maybe it is a dream that feels shattered, a relationship that feels broken, or a season of life that has left you empty. I want you to know that your valley is not the end of your story. As it is written, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23, verse 4. My presence will guide you through, just as it did for Michael. Take a moment to reflect. What is the storm that has shaken your life? What are the pieces you are trying to gather? Bring them to me, for I am the God who restores. I do not promise a life free from hardship, but I do promise to bring beauty from ashes, joy from mourning, and peace from chaos. Let me tell you about the seeds of hope that grow even in barren places. Like Michael's story, your trials can become a testimony. When you place your trust in me, I will use your pain to strengthen you and to inspire those around you. What feels like the end is often a beginning, an opportunity to see my hand working in ways you cannot yet imagine. So, my beloved, hold on to hope. It may feel small now, like a flickering flame, but even the smallest light can pierce the darkest night. Lean on my promises, for they are steadfast. Surround yourself with those who remind you of my love. And when the weight of the valley feels too much to bear, know that I am carrying you. You are not defined by the storm, but by the resilience you find in me. Together, we will rebuild what has been broken. Together, we will turn your valley into a place of strength, faith, and renewal. Trust me, for I am the God who walks beside you in every season, through every trial, and into the beautiful future I have planned for you. The power of faith to transform your life. My beloved child, today, let me tell you a story of a young woman named Grace. Her name held so much promise, yet her heart was heavy with shame and regret. Grace grew up dreaming of a bright future, but life's challenges led her down a path she never intended to take. She made choices that left her feeling unworthy of love and forgiveness. Each day, she carried the weight of her mistakes, convinced that she could never rise above her past. One evening, sitting alone in the silence of her room, Grace whispered a question into the darkness. "Lord, can you still love someone like me?" Her tears fell freely, a reflection of the brokenness she felt inside. She expected silence in return, but I was there, as I have always been, ready to answer her cry. I spoke to her heart through my word. "Come now, let us settle the matter," says the Lord. "Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow." Isaiah 1:18. In that moment, Grace felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Hope. She began to understand that my love is not conditional. It does not waver based on her choices or her failures. My love is steadfast, a love that sees past the scars and calls forth the beauty within. She realized that while the world may define her by her mistakes, I define her by my grace. Grace's journey wasn't easy. She faced the judgment of others and the doubts within herself. But each day, she chose to lean on me. She prayed, asking for the courage to start anew, and I guided her steps. I surrounded her with people who reflected my love, those who encouraged her and reminded her of her worth. Slowly, Grace began to rebuild her life, not on the shaky foundation of her past, but on the solid rock of my promises. Today, Grace stands as a testament to what happens when you surrender your brokenness to me. She speaks openly about her struggles, not to dwell on them, but to show others the depth of my mercy. She tells them, if God can heal me, He can heal you too. Through her faith, she has found freedom, joy, and a renewed sense of purpose. My child, perhaps you see yourself in Grace's story. Maybe you've made choices that you regret, or you carry the weight of guilt that feels impossible to release. Let me tell you this, you are not beyond my reach. No mistake is too great, no failure too deep, for my love to redeem. As it is written, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. Take a moment to consider. What burdens are you holding on to? What shame or regret keeps you from stepping into the life I have planned for you? Bring them to me. My arms are open, ready to lift the weight from your shoulders and replace it with my peace. Faith is not about being perfect. It's about trusting me even in your imperfections. When you surrender your fears, your doubts, and your failures to me, I can transform them into something beautiful. Like Grace, you can rise from the ashes of your past and step into the fullness of my love. You are my beloved, cherished not for what you've done, but for who you are, my child. Trust that I am with you, guiding you and holding you through every trial. When the world tells you that you are unworthy, Hear my voice reminding you, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139, verse 14. So take the first step today. Open your heart to my healing, my forgiveness, and my boundless love. Together, we will write a new chapter, one filled with hope, joy, and the promise of a life redeemed. Remember, there is no darkness so great that my light cannot overcome it. Trust in me and watch how faith can transform your life. The strength found in surrendering to God. My beloved child, I know you are weary. You have faced trials that have left you feeling weak, and you may be questioning whether you are strong enough to endure. But let me remind you of a story from the Bible, one that speaks of surrender and the incredible strength that comes through trusting in me. There was once a man named Paul, who, like you, found himself overwhelmed by the challenges of life. His journey was filled with hardship. He was shipwrecked, imprisoned, beaten, and mocked for his faith. Yet, it was in the midst of his suffering that he learned the power of surrender. Paul did not let his circumstances define him. Instead, he placed his trust in me, saying, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." 2 Corinthians 12:9. Paul understood something deeply important. True strength does not come from our ability to control everything, but from trusting in my ability to guide and sustain us. You see, my child, it is when you surrender your fears, your struggles, and your desires to me that you find the strength to endure. Let me share with you a story that mirrors Paul's, a story of a woman named Maria. Maria was a mother of 3, working tirelessly to provide for her family. Her life was filled with the constant rush of chores, the worry of making ends meet, and the fear of failure. Despite her best efforts, the weight of responsibility began to crush her spirit. She found herself struggling to balance everything: her job, her home, her relationships, and soon she lost sight of what truly mattered. One evening, in the quiet of her room, Maria fell to her knees, overwhelmed by the weight of her life. "Lord," she cried, "I can't do this anymore. I've tried so hard, but it feels like I'm failing at everything. I don't know where to turn." In that moment of surrender, I spoke to her heart. "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. Maria chose to trust me. She surrendered her fears and frustrations to me, asking for strength and guidance. The road ahead was not immediately clear, but each day she woke with a new sense of peace, knowing that I was walking with her. She found strength not by controlling everything, but by trusting that I was with her every step of the way. Over time, Maria realized that her worth was not measured by her ability to do it all, but by the love and grace I had given her. Through surrendering her burdens, she was able to see the beauty in the small moments, laughing with her children, sharing a meal with her family, and finding joy in the simple blessings that came her way. Maria's life, once filled with chaos, became a testimony of my grace and strength. My child, perhaps you too are feeling burdened, as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You are not alone in this. Just as I was with Paul and Maria, I am with you. When life feels overwhelming, remember that surrendering to me is not a sign of weakness, but an act of faith. Trust in my plan for you. My word promises, "For I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. You are not called to bear the weight of the world on your own. Bring your burdens to me, for I am here to help you carry them. In your surrender, you will find my peace. In your weakness, you will discover my strength. Trust in me and I will lead you through whatever challenges you face. My love will never fail, and my grace is always sufficient. So today, I invite you to surrender. Lay down your fears, worries, and need for control. Trust that I will provide the strength you need to face each day. With me by your side, you will not only survive, you will thrive. My beloved child, as we come to the end of this time together, I want you to remember that I am always with you. No matter what trials you face or how difficult the road may seem, you are never alone. My love for you is constant, unchanging, and eternal. It is in my love that you find your purpose, your strength, and your peace. Through every challenge, I am here, guiding you, carrying you, and offering you the hope that will never fade. Trust in my plans for you, for I know what lies ahead, and I have prepared a path filled with purpose and peace. When you feel lost or overwhelmed, remember that I am the light that will guide your way, the strength that will sustain you, and the love that will never fail you. You are my beloved child, created for a life filled with meaning, joy, and fulfillment. Do not let fear or doubt steal the promise I have made to you. Embrace each day with faith, knowing that I am working in and through you, transforming every trial into an opportunity for growth and deeper connection with me. As you move forward, let your trust in my love and my promises be your anchor. Remember that with me, all things are possible. I will lead you through every storm, and with each step you take, you will become more and more the person I created you to be. I invite you to share your story of faith and trust in the comments below. Let us lift each other up and walk this journey of hope together. And if this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to Christian Philosophy Daily for more words of comfort, strength, and wisdom.